Hi, I'm Sam Fessich from the EduMagic Podcast, a part of the Education Podcast Network, just like the show you're listening to now. Shows on the network are individually owned and opinions expressed may not reflect others. Find other interesting education podcasts at edupodcastnetwork.com.
Hey folks, it is the Hitech Podcast.
Yeah,
We're having fun.
Yeah, I just
stuck
woohooed
together.
like a woo girl. That's weird.
It was appropriate.
I don't need to do it
very,
again.
very appropriate. You do it again? You're gonna woohoo again, or you're never gonna do it again?
No, I don't need to woohoo again. It's fine.
No, that's fine. It was an acceptable one time. You got to pass. You got to use.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Folks, this is William Illingworth, one of your hosts, followed by Joshua Swartz, our other host.
That's
We're
me.
here
Hello.
at the Hitech Podcast. We're very excited. We are streaming. We're recording. We're recording
We're recording.
with StreamYard, our new tool.
Yeah, we're very excited about it. It's
And
working
it's
quite
awesome.
well. Yeah,
Yes.
it's good. Plus, they have a duck logo. I really dig that. You know,
Quack.
I like it. Yeah, I like a little. I don't know. I like a little bird logo, if you will.
We love that.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
trying to come up with another word for bird. There's another word, and I couldn't think of it.
It's a foul thought that you're
Yes,
having.
there we go. That's what I was looking for.
Hmm.
Like a good foul logo.
Stuck the landing. Stuck it so well, it was stickity, frankly. Hey,
Ah.
folks, this is the Hitech Podcast. In this episode 141, we're going to be interviewing a new friend. That's right. The Hitech Podcast is all about friends. The networking ninja did not have to do any ninjaing this time.
Nope.
Lauren found us and brought to us this new tool she's made called Stickity. And if you're not sure what Stickity is, it's pretty easy. It's maybe about stickers, right? Stickers are a big thing in education, especially in K-12 education, but don't get lost. Don't turn off just yet. All right. If you're with higher ed, if you're with corporate, hold on, please.
Yeah, I think
Trust
you'll like it
me, trust us. Hey, be honest, I was a little skeptical. It's just like, hey, stickers? What's stickers about? But then we had this conversation with Lauren, and frankly, she sold me in such a beautiful way. Not just because, oh, stickers are fun. No, like there's an instructional purpose to this tool. And not only is there an instructional purpose to this tool, but it's simple, it's direct, and you don't have to go buy something crazy. You don't have to get hardware. You don't have to get a whole new software suite. It's not difficult to implement. Just turn it on in Google Docs, Google Slides. So this interview itself is going to be a little bit of fun getting into what Stickity is, how Stickity came to be, what it can do for you. But altogether, I want to kind of point us first towards the power of communication as educators. We are at the front line of everything. And I think that's part of why Josh and I so naturally fit into it and loved podcasting, right? This is communication at its core. We're communicating with each other. We're trying to communicate to you, the listener. But we want you to take away the Stickity tool and the ideas behind it as a way to improve, in a way, systematize, uniform. You make it uniform the way you communicate to your students. We're going to hear some exact examples from Lauren, how she came up with this idea in the first place by using stickers, right? She was doing it herself, but why it's already starting to work with and support teachers everywhere. And even better than that, it's to support learners. So that's previews. I wanted to give a little bit of that pitch here because I don't want folks to be like stickers, meh. No. I've not met many K-12 teachers who don't love stickers, so that's an easy sell. But for our higher ed folks, anybody corporate, anybody just adjacent to learning, there's a value here that I think if you hold on, take a look at what Lauren's got to show us, it'll be a pretty easy sell for you too. Anything else, Josh?
I would agree. I mean, like, listen, I am not Mr. Stickers. Like, if you know me, I don't strike most people as the warm and fuzzy personality of a sticker lover, you know? Like, so like...
That's
I feel like that's appropriate. But I really we've done the interview already. I really actually am sold on this tool. There's some really cool stuff about it. I'm willing to try it out and use it myself. I'm going to be teaching a little bit.
Spoiler alert.
So I think I'm going to use it in the fall. So check it out. We don't need to say anything else. Lauren already talked to us, and she will convince you herself. Even if, it might convince you even more because she likes a football team different than Will,
Oh,
I don't know,
on.
whatever. Like, it's just
Just
the whole
straight
the
up.
whole package this episode. So let's
Ugh.
with that, let's
right.
go listen to Lauren.
Yeah, let's turn it over to Lauren. Make sure, friends, if you're a friend of the podcast, if you know other people who could come on the podcast like Lauren, subscribe to us on Spotify, subscribe to us on YouTube, follow us on the socials, and hit our inbox at hitechpod.us to get on the show. So until you've done that, and until you get more people to us, so I don't have to ninja as much, I'll turn it over to this interview. All right, folks, we are here with Lauren Heil, and we are very excited to learn about a little bit about Lauren herself and Stickity, this product and company she's coming up with. I'm going to turn it right over to her in a little bit of just for some history and background. Lauren, where are you coming from? What is getting you towards the step of Stickity? You don't necessarily need to take the step into Stickity yet, but who are you and where are you coming from?
Yeah, well, I'm based in Colorado. I actually started my career. I went to school for graphic design and I worked in advertising for a little while. So like my first projects were designing Burger King billboards, which felt very cool. So if you drove past any Burger King billboards in like 2011, 2012, there's a high.
You probably caused me to eat a burger.
Yeah,
that's probably you. Okay.
Yeah,
got it.
Yeah, it was me behind it. I got to work on a lot of cool accounts, but I like the Burger King billboard thing usually is a good opener. And then I moved back home to Kansas City where I was from and worked on, if you guys are Major League Soccer fans, I worked with Sporting Kansas City. So I got to design for like their stadium and stuff like that. And
I like that more than the Chiefs.
You like that more? Okay, that's fair. That's fine. That's okay. You're just sad about the Super Bowl.
Well said.
Just opening up with insults. Okay.
It's fine. We do it all the time. It's my favorite pastime. So you can just join on in.
Listener, I'm sorry, Lauren. I'm already throwing you off, but like we were already talking about sports before things got going, and I just had to. I am an Eagles fan. Your Chiefs won the Super Bowl. Yeah,
2 years in a row. I don't know if you saw it this year too.
Okay, if you say the dynasty word, I'll just hit.
No, I think 3 is a dynasty, right? We just have to do it again next year.
That's what you're aiming for. Good for you. Good luck. Good luck. Yeah. We'll see you next year in the bowl. Anyway, so after coming back to Kansas City,
I was in search of something a little bit more fulfilling in my career, because while those sound very fun, like the joy wears off after a little while of like, sure. I just didn't care deeply that someone knew that the Whopper was on sale, or you know what I mean, like things like that. It just wasn't doing it for me at a certain point. And so I found myself in education, and not that this is a story about my resume or anything like that, but I started teaching design and computer science to middle school students in Denver. I did that for about 6-7 years. And I really started to see these connections between what I learned as a designer and like how to communicate visually and how to make something for everyone to understand. And then shifting into this teaching space where, I taught every single kid in the school, which was awesome. It was mandatory that everyone takes computer science. And I think more schools should do that. Yeah, it's great. Because I got a lot of students who wouldn't have necessarily tried it in the first place and then found out they loved it. And, and so it was really, really fun. But then I also got, there was 450 different kids that went in and out of my classroom door in a week. And so what that means also is that there's a lot of IEPs that you are looking at and accommodations that you need to be making for these kids. And then, Denver has a high multilingual learner population as well. And so thinking about what those kids need to be able to access content, which, in a computer science classroom, we're already learning a coding language in a language that is their second, third, or fourth language, right? And so there's so much to think about in how I'm delivering information and how they're going to retain this information if I only see them, once a week. And so, so I basically started designing icons to communicate like, our voices are off right now, or you're working independently or with a group, or here's what website you're on, or just little things like that I could always put in the same spot and kind of communicate that way. I also just started to think about like all of the things I was really tired of saying on repeat. Like, those, right?
No idea what that's like.
No, I only say things once and everybody gets it every time.
What?
Yeah.
I
Josh
think
is
everyone's
superhuman.
had that day where they're like, if I have to say these instructions one more time, I'm just gonna get in my car and leave, and like I'm done. And so, and so I started writing down like all the things that I was so tired of saying, and I would make these little, kind of animated graphics for it. And anyways, the teachers that were the most excited about seeing this were the special educators in the building. And so they would start asking me like, okay, can you send me some of these? And I'm going to start putting it in other teachers' stuff is what they were doing. And I was like, okay, well, that's great. But like, also I think these teachers would like it too, like what if they could use it too? And so I started trying to teach the other educators in the building, like design techniques and color choices, font choices. Like it's not just about making something look nice, it's about making something usable and easy to understand and all of that. And I was finding that wasn't necessarily the best route, because teachers don't love to be told, understandably don't love to be told one more thing they need to be that day, right? Like you're already you're a teacher, you're a parent, you're a counselor, you're a nurse, you're an accountant with the budget, like you're everything. And then also you need to be a designer too. And so I wasn't getting a whole lot of buy-in there, even though like they understood the importance for it. And so then I started just creating these things that they could just use on their own. Like, here's all the graphics that you can just put in whatever you're making.
Packet. Enjoy.
Right, exactly. Here you go. That you can make all of these or use whatever you want in whatever you're making. And so that was actually far more effective. And that kind of led to the idea of Stickity, is like, okay, well, what if they could just open something up on the side of whatever they're using? Because I didn't want to make a whole nother platform, right? Like learning just a whole new thing is just, no one has time. And there's, I think since the pandemic, there's a bit of a technology tool overload in a sense. So I just wanted to make something that pulled up on the side that they could just go through and add whatever they wanted to their stuff. And that's essentially Stickity, is graphics that are aimed at supporting students with IEPs, English language learners, but really every single kid in the classroom, and kind of allowing teachers to build their own stuff and still have that autonomy, and then use these graphics to help them too.
That was beautiful. I didn't try to get you there, and yet you perfectly wove your way towards the inception.
What could I say? I just
out of 10.
I'm a
It's
professional.
almost like she's practiced this maybe a little bit. Like other people have asked her how she got the Stickity. I don't know why. That would seem like it's her company.
It's like I'm trying to get schools to buy it or something.
Weird thought. We hope so. It's really cool that you made a point there, even about the educators and your own journey of getting this point of like, education is communication, and you had been a professional communicator. I love that point, and I'm glad that it's resulted in something like Stickity that can assist others in doing that, because I have met many educators who are not necessarily expert communicators, right? They are expert historians or mathematicians or other things. And a tool like this is something that steps in that gap to help them reinforce effective communication strategies, which makes everybody's day better.
It essentially, the goal is to remove the how so that students can get to the what, right? So no one should be confused about where to click or where to type or what website we're on or anything like that. Those things should go seamlessly so that kids can focus on the content. And I say kids, but really, like, I've heard from a lot of schools that they're using this even more in staff meetings just to like get teachers' attention and stuff too. Which makes total sense.
Some of the worst students are teachers. So it's
me. I was one. I was the worst in staff meetings. I would never pay attention to what you're saying ever. So Yeah.
Oh man, that's funny.
Give us
I-
so you got us to where we are, why Stickity came to be. We can see it on our screens and stuff like that. We have a good sense for it. Just what is it? It's not just stickers, right? It's a little bit more than that, right?
Right. Yeah. And like stickers are that, that fun and that joy, and everybody loves stickers, especially teachers love stickers, right?
Yep.
But this is an add-on for Google Docs and Google Slides. And so you can essentially just pull it up on the side of your screen and you click on a sticker and it inserts it right into your document or into your slide deck. And really it's either a GIF or a PNG. So they're essentially just inserted as images. And you can edit, you can change, you can resize and all that from there.
Wow. Easy.
Yeah. I'm literally installing the add-on right now as we're talking to you, just because I hadn't gotten a chance to install it yet. And I mean, it's pretty cool. Yeah, it just pops up in I have it in my Google Doc right now. It's popping up.
When I see Josh look to the side for a while, he's usually signing into something, installing
I'm pulling up an app. Yeah. Now all of my Google alerts are going off. All you signed in somewhere. I get it, Google. I'm here.
Yeah. It was me.
So it's cool. So they can access from that then a library of stuff that they can bring in, and like you said, can edit. They can resize.
Mm-hmm.
They can they. I haven't played with it just yet. So can they pull it out and put it then anywhere else they would want in so it's in Google Doc and Slides. Does that make it obviously you can export a document?
You can still, I was going to say you can still save it for what you need. So what some people were doing is saving. There's this, let's see, it's in the content support library, but right up at the top is accessibility. And there's a little icon for audio. So what people were doing were saving that. And then in Google Slides, when you attach, voice recordings, they were using that image instead of the default one, because this was catching students' eyes a little bit better. That bright color and the light movement was a little bit better. And so, but there's a ton of accessibility supports here that are beyond just catching people's eyes or kind of I guess those classic IEP accommodations. So every single sticker is already inserted with alt text. So if anyone's using a screen reader, it will read out for you and you don't have to go in and add it, which is huge. The paid version you can just switch the sticker to Spanish too. And so it will change that language there. The colors. So this is where the design background comes in, right? So anything I would make had to meet certain, they're called WCAG standards for accessibility. So every single one of the color combinations are visible, even for those with low contrast or low vision. So you can see that there too. I'm trying to think what else. There's, your common accommodations of visual chunking and stuff like that. It's just so easy to make with these things. So really, I thought through all of these little accessibility pieces and tried to build that in as much as I possibly could.
An ed tech has been made by a teacher when accessibility is on the main page and some of the top.
And you just listed off all of the checklist of things of accessibility. If there are any other app people listening, because Will, for those of you who maybe not listen to Hitech Podcast, or Lauren, we've just met as we're working through stuff. Will and I have to evaluate tools all the time in our jobs, for different things, and the amount that do not have statements about accessibility, or I have to dig to find information about it. If you're all listening, apps, you should do this. That's all I'm saying. Because this is
Stickity and do what Stickity did. Well, actually, before the website, go design your product to do this. I have the VPAT, the Voluntary Product Accessibility Template from the U.S. government. Very useful tool. I've written VPATs. I've read dozens of VPATs, if not more.
Wow.
It's difficult to be accessible. It's very difficult. And to hear you not only talking about what's driving you to do this, your mission, supporting teachers, making communication more effective, making it easier to do, all good. Check. From the get-go, it's also accessible. Chef's kiss. Just keep going. Yeah. That's great.
Thank you. Yeah, it's always been super important to me. And it's because I taught so many kids every year. I got to see a lot of different labels for students with disabilities or 504s or whatever. And a lot of it came down to very similar accommodations. And so I knew if I could work from those, big 5, 6, 7 pieces and kind of build out from there, that it would be something that everyone could use. And the goal really is to not have to make version A, B, C of classwork, because none of these graphics remove rigor. So it doesn't make it easier for a kid who is, GT or just doesn't experience any of those learning differences. It doesn't make it easier for them to do. It just makes it easier for everyone to access that content. And that's
it's universal design in that way.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And so schools who are big on UDL, this is also something that fits right in with all of those standards too.
That's super cool. Now, obviously we've talked a little bit about it, and you shared a little bit about how you kind of were using this in the genesis of the idea, but right. And I don't think that Will and I know a handful of teachers we don't have to convince that like stickers are cool and they'll go for it. But we also know Will and I have maybe our, I don't want to call them curmudgeons. I don't know what I want to call
Our
them.
curmudgeons.
They're curmudgeons that would see this as like stickers. Okay. So for those listening, how are you seeing teachers use this? Right. So we've talked about a couple examples, but I'm curious kind of how have you been seeing since you've gotten this up and running now, people using it inside their classes or content?
Just like you said, it totally depends on the teacher, right? Like there are folks that are like, I live for this. I want to I want to put them everywhere, where I kind of have to be like, all right, let's pare back and like maybe not use 10.
The Oprah of stickers. You get a sticker and you get a sticker.
Exactly.
You also need text in your document, maybe.
Yeah, totally. But where teachers are really starting in their comfort zone are a couple places. The attention getters. So if you're looking at the menu, it's down towards the bottom. So these like big arrows that are pointing to things or circles or whatever, those make a big difference when you're presenting something or if you're giving someone a document. So I'm seeing those a lot. I also am seeing, and they're using it in student work. They're also using it on the slide deck, just in front of people, right? In class or staff meetings or whatever. Those attention getters are big. The expectations icons are everyone's favorite. So, and like, sadly, the silent one is the one that's used the most. And I kind of wish it would change to like, everyone can talk, but they're using the silent icon quite a bit. But just kind of communicate, because those are the things that we're talking and saying all the time to students too. So those are the kind of the two big ones. And then they also are loving the timer videos. That's where I see like where my, you guys lovingly called them curmudgeons. That's kind of my easy in with the curmudgeons, because they also don't like a YouTube timer that's going to end in a like a police siren at the end, or like has a surprise ad in the middle or whatever. And so in the timers, you can just in slides specifically, because Docs doesn't necessarily like have this need, but slides definitely do,
right?
Where you can just insert the different timers, and it starts real soft and then it ends where you can hear it, but it's not like you're not alarming your entire class, which is annoying for everybody. But like my students on the autism spectrum or students of trauma, a jump scare like that can actually ruin their entire day, right? Like it's really difficult to come back from. And so those timer videos are also something that I see teachers using a lot. But yeah,
it's happened in professional contexts where the YouTube video does that. It's happened to me in professional context. I'm just like, I'm a grown human and I'm upset about this.
I know. Why are they all police sirens is what I need to know. Like it's all like whoop, like I don't get it. So
it wakes people up, I guess. I don't know. I'm of the same nature. I've had the amount of times occasionally, because I love myself a good timer, on screen, so people know how much time they have left. And I've definitely had that happen a few times, where like an alarm will go off or something weird will happen at the end of the sound. Yeah, for sure.
You just mentioned. Go ahead.
Oh, I was just gonna say, as a middle school teacher, running any kind of video with an ad at the beginning is it's a risk. It's just a risk.
You
So,
never know what's going to come up, and you never
nope.
know what the students are going to say about what comes up, even if it's
And it could be
platonic.
something that you would never guess is going to derail your entire class ever, and it will.
It always does. It doesn't matter what it is. It could be like the most benign commercial that like normally everybody would be totally fine with, but when it happens in a classroom, somehow like that commercial became the biggest comedian in the universe, and now the entire classroom
just put it in front of 13 and 14-year-olds, and you're done. That's all it takes.
Yeah.
You had mentioned, Google Docs maybe not being a place for the timers, but I was just like immediately cued for me the idea that last time I opened a Google Doc, it prompted me and said, "Do you want to stay in the traditional, 8.5 by 11 format, portrait format, or do you want to go to full white screen?" They're now trying to compete with the whiteboard, open whiteboard spaces with Google Docs. And now I could see that being used. If you had a Google Doc where you're doing that kind of whiteboarding space, put a timer in the middle of it and let people work in groups around the timer.
Totally.
Now we're using it in docs as well as slides. So
yeah, I know. I should figure that out. Good idea. Thank you.
Please enjoy. We're here to lift you up and help.
Well, and as you're talking, just for the listener, like, and we'll share some. I'm definitely 100% figuring out ways to get some of these stickers on the episode page. That's gonna happen. But like, I'm loving, like, so I'm clicking in, like, you've got differentiation here, you've got a couple other things, and I'm loving like the levels of spiciness stickers you've got and differentiation for like different levels. And you've got like actual like beginner, intermediate, advanced, expert only stickers and stuff like that. This is really cool because it's you are creating this way to kind of like help communicate things in a way it's done very much in kind of like user experience and marketing and things like that, but we don't do a lot in education, I don't think, or we could do more of.
You're exactly
so it's really cool. You're kind of creating this almost universal language thing that can kind of happen to help across the board every learner kind of get a common get more information than they normally would about figuring out what am I dealing with right now, or what am I looking at right now. Yeah.
And just one less hand up of like, wait, what are we doing? Like just one less is all anybody needs, right? Or like, where do I need to be? But you're right. And I remember I was talking to someone last week about that exact point. And like every other industry spends endless amounts of dollars on making sure that their website, their app, their whatever their product is usable and understandable by everybody because they need it to make money, right? Like they need to be able to sell that to as wide of an audience as possible. And if we can, our product is people in schools, and like we're in the human development business essentially. And so if we can take that same mindset of like, okay, this needs to be something that everyone can use without needing to make multiple versions or something like that, then that's where that design importance comes in. Like it's not just about making something look pretty, which was some of the early feedback that I got in those professional development sessions that I was giving, but it's not just about that. It's truly everyone else cares about this, and we should in schools too. And even here in Colorado, they just passed a technology accessibility bill where it essentially it makes it easier for someone to take legal action against a government entity, so schools, that are not providing accessible websites. They said third-party materials, other, apps that you're using, things like that. And I would be surprised if Colorado's the only state that's working on that, and so that's going to become increasingly important for schools who like already aren't just like, growing money on trees. And now you're trying to avoid accessibility lawsuits, rightfully so, because everyone should be able to access everything. So, yeah.
Good luck on all fronts. So, I mean, let me roll that back a little bit. 100% on the student side for that. Like, I believe the students, especially in a government-funded context, should have equal access to information. Absolutely.
Totally.
But that is just a nightmare. Holy smokes! The lawsuits. I worked at Penn State, which was in higher education known for being the accessibility guru because they got their pants sued off. Right?
Okay. They usually did take a lawsuit, right?
They made accessibility.psu.edu because they got sued. And then that website became the site that everybody sent each other to, oh, I've got a question about accessibility. Yeah, go over to accessibility.p. You know, it's publicly funded. It's a Pennsylvania publicly funded university, sort of. But because of that, it has to be open. There's no login. There's no nothing. You can just go on that website and look at their standards, look at their resources, all this other stuff. And it became a boon. It was a very bad thing. It was a very upsetting thing, the lawsuit and the impact of the students. The students were told no too many times, and they filed the OCR complaint, and appropriately so. But now everyone can look at that as a good thing. I hope that it results in more good than not on the other side of it.
And you know, beyond accessibility, like there's legal implications of IEPs not being served correctly and 504s and all of that too. And I got to watch my school go through a lawsuit for not providing accommodations where they should have been. And so it just became a huge focus, is, you know, how can I make it easier for teachers? Because no teacher is going to make their materials inaccessible on purpose, right? Like no one's going to log in and be like, yeah, man, but maybe I can just lower the contrast and then so-and-so couldn't read it, right? Like they would never do that.
How can I make it really hard for Rob to complete his work today?
Yeah, exactly. But so like the intent is always so great. It's just that teachers have 8 million jobs to do. And so I wanted to make something.
It's a really good way to frame it. I appreciate that, because I've seen that. Seen one or two bad eggs, but that's, again, there's always an exception.
We'll have two people that were just lowering contrast on purpose, you know.
If I had a teacher, of this populations I've served, if I had a teacher who knew how to lower the contrast of an image, I would stand behind them and clap, because
true. I'd be more impressed.
They do not typically have that technical savvy to apply something.
There's like a super villain teacher somewhere in some
state. Using your skills for pure evil.
Like lowering contrast on images.
So it's a I don't want to oversimplify it. It's a direct and visual and if you will, easy to use tool. We're not trying to make people do calculus to accomplish this task. We want them to get in. We want them to use these for communication purposes, for protocols, for consistency, all the good things. What's one goal you have for a teacher who hasn't tried it before? Not necessarily to speak that curmudgeon, but if you're giving that pitch, like, hey, I want you to try it out. What's that first step a teacher should take with Stickity?
Yeah, I think starting with the things that you're tired of repeating is a great place. And then get in there and just search some of those terms. And if you can try to throw in some graphics here and there, it's just going to say, you're going to see the benefits almost immediately. Specifically, like, I feel like those expectation stickers are the easiest ones to start with and just to try out, because that's so easy. All right. Are students, are they allowed to talk right now? Or are they not? Or should they work in partners or groups? And it even in the lesson planning process allows you to think through, all right, maybe I have them silent for a little bit too long today. Right. And so like with those middle schoolers, or really this applies to everybody, right? But like, if we're silent for too long, like I can basically guarantee that the last half of my class is going to be rough. Right. And so peppering in those opportunities to talk and to get up and to move around and things like that. It's not only visual for the kids, but it's visual for the teacher to see.
Right. It's a reminder.
And to see like how often they're using certain graphics and which ones they could throw in there. And so I guess that's my goal, is to just think of the things that you're tired of repeating and start there, and then just kind of see how you use it, which in a way that would suit you the best, because everyone's classroom is going to be different. Everyone's expectations for kids are going to be different. Everyone's struggles in their class are going to be different. So
what I really like there, I want to touch on for a second is what you're saying is making the expectations visual makes them evident to everyone. When you're trying to, in the middle of something, be like, yep, this is the quiet time, and you've got to have some sort of authority, or you've got to get louder or change your tone, things that can incorrectly stimulate our students, right? Changing your tone, changing your volume, changing your demeanor can negatively affect some students.
Totally.
When you could just be like, this is the button's on screen.
Well, not only that, like I don't believe that students show up just wanting to light the world on fire either. Right?
That
So,
I'm not sure about. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
if someone's
No, the
listening
one
to this on a bad day, they're gonna be like, yes, they do.
The one who changes the contrast becomes that teacher. That was the one to light the world on fire. But you know, maybe only one every
Just
couple
the
of
one. But I don't think that they do. And the amount of times that I wound up in like this power struggle because I was like, we're silent right now or whatever. And then another kid's like, I didn't know, or, you know, whatever. And then it turns into this whole deal. I started using these. It was like the 1920 school year, everyone's favorite, I'm sure. But it was at the beginning when everything was still normal. And I was using these expectations icons for the first time. And it was like the first couple of weeks of school. And I put them up on every slide deck in the same spot. And so whatever part of class we were on, they could look and see. And it was also on their worksheets on whatever they were like, you know, doing in class. It was also there too, because it's easy. You just click, it populates in there. And so one of my most talkative girls, and I taught these kids 6th, 7th, and 8th grade. So like I knew these 8th graders pretty well at this point.
Yep.
And one of my most talkative girls leans over to go talk to her partner and then stops, looks back at the board, checks to make sure that she can talk. She can, because it says she can, because there's an icon, and then asks her neighbor a question. And I watched the whole thing, and I like, that was my like, I'm onto something here. Like this
Eureka.
is good. Yeah, because it's like they can self-monitor and they can kind of make their own choices and monitor their own behavior that way too, which is primo. That's what I wanted.
That's super cool. I love that. I'm really digging this. Like I will say, like from my standpoint, like I think a place I would start if I was going to use it is like I like the expectation things. I love you have like a whole feedback and grading section. That's like very like pop out kind of stickers of feedback. I'm pretty sure I've written on a regular basis, at least somehow. But in like a wordier way. Well, you know how I just described your stickers now? That's how my feedback is. So the
yeah. And so did anyone receiving your feedback ever either mark it as resolved or just completely type over it if it was a comment too?
Well, in my tool, we're not a Google institution because we use Heil, so I haven't had that. My issue is more of like they look at it and then don't read it because it's just text, right? Like so
if
like,
they look at it.
Yeah. So what I like about this idea is maybe leveraging some of the like pop-out stickers to kind of really highlight important parts of feedback that I think could help. Because I think some of the phrases you've used in some of this are just like I don't know, like you have the positive section, which is kind of there, demonstrate growth, almost there, which by the way, your sectioning of your stickers, solid work. But then try the like try again, but even like the like almost there parts, like some of that information of just like, you know, even elaboration needed sticker, right? Like I can see that popping out and grabbing students' attention a little bit more of like, and then prompting, like I'll still be giving my probably more detailed feedback in that area, but that'll grab them to kind of come in and look at it in a little way that I don't think normally happens.
What teachers are doing, they're either, so like there's one that says watch this and try again, and they'll hyperlink a video or something, or you can just select that sticker and then add a comment to that sticker, and still that's going to catch attention a lot better than just a comment itself. So I tried to think about, you know, what people are saying often, and one that I'm going to make, I think next week, it's my sister's history professor down at a university in Texas, and she put up on her Instagram story like a photo of feedback that she was giving, and it just said, "How do you know this?" Like for citing sources, basically. And her caption was, "Put this on my gravestone." And I thought that should be a sticker then. If someone's tired of doing that. It should be a sticker.
Good.
That's good. That's hilarious.
How do you know that?
Oh man. I will just add this, Will, since I don't know if you've been looking at it, but she does have a ninja sticker in case you're curious. So it's Will does some martial arts, as you can see probably in his belt in the background, and we call him the networking ninja because that's his ability. So any ninja things we can find for Will are fantastic.
At this point, I don't even try. Lauren found me. Like
I
I'm gonna have
did.
to try.
I said, let me
People
come
come-
hang
Although-
out with you guys.
Although, if that's how it's working, well, we might want to remove your name, Networking Ninja, because I'm pretty sure that's not what ninjas do. Like, people aren't just like, I found a ninja. You know, it's not like Pokemon. You know, like,
I don't
Oops.
think ninjas want to be found, but I'm also not a ninja expert.
Yeah,
Yeah.
neither am I, but Josh is building this up, so I
Yeah.
just gotta let him roll sometimes.
here's the thing.
I gotta give him this one.
Yeah, exactly. So, Lauren, I'm gonna use this wonderful ninja conversation as a transition too. You mentioned some other new sticker ideas you've got. Is there
Mhm.
anything for those listening, anything new coming up or that you're working
Mm-hmm.
on that you're excited about with Stickity that you want people to know about and kind of be on the lookout for?
Yeah, so I'm essentially working on building up my content focused stickers. So you guys probably won't see this on your screen because they're all part of the pro version, but math, ELA, social studies, science.
Yeah.
The next one on my list is world languages. And so I'm about to publish the Spanish library. So in Pro, you can switch all the stickers to Spanish language, but this is specifically for Spanish teachers. So thinking about animating like key vocabulary or, verb conjugation, things like that. So that's next on my list to launch is Spanish language teachers. And then that'll kind of open me up to those other popular languages. So French, German, all that from there too.
Cool.
Yeah.
Cool. It's pretty easy for folks to check you out. It's stickity.co, stickity.co. That's stickity.co. Wow, that's a whole lot. But it's also, you could like, so if they want to go to the website, they can learn how, they can see the YouTube video, that kind of stuff. But really, they need to get into Google, go into their docs, go into their sheets, go to the add-ons, and search Stickity. That's going to come up.
Yep. It's just tools, right? Extensions, add-ons, get add-ons, and then search Stickity.
Yep.
If somebody's in a district account, might they be like prohibited from getting it right away or something? They might need to talk to their district to get it allowed, or
they could be. It's happening less and less, but they could be. So all of our terms and privacy policy and everything like that is on our website if they need to send it to an IT person. What's cool about Stickity is it doesn't use any like student data at all.
Yeah.
And so it's usually a pretty easy approval process from there.
Cool.
Yeah.
So folks, try it out for free. Get over to stickity.co, go into your Google Docs sheets slides, not sheets, Google Docs slides, pull it in, give it a shot. And then Pro is kind of a district thing and or more features towards those other languages. Is that the general idea?
Yep, exactly. And yes, it can be a district thing. It's also, you can do an individual Pro account too. So that's all on the website too.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Lauren, for joining us. We did not know. We were ignorant coming into this what Stickity could do for us. And I think you sold us. We went to a conference last year where we started out handing out business cards that were square, and teachers would literally take them from us and be like, oh, a sticker, and they'd realize it was a business card and get sad.
I've never seen that level of disappointment in front of me on a regular basis for 2 hours as I did at ISTE when we did not have stickers.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're onto it. You've got the right thing. Teachers want this.
They love their stickers. Yeah. And these are stickers with actual purpose too. So even better.
Yeah. Exactly.
I'll pitch you this if you haven't already. I mean, you've got to get to merchandise. People are going to want to buy your stickers. They're going to want
I have some fun ones that I will do at like conferences and stuff like that. But you're right. I probably should just start selling some.
A little e-commerce in there behind everything, but
Stickity merch. I love it.
Yeah.
Thank you again for joining us. We appreciate you joining us for the first time. I hope this isn't the last time, but as well, folks, make sure you get over to stickity.co and otherwise have a great rest of your evening.
There we go. Stickers. I got to be honest here. I did not know that this conversation about stickers, digital stickers, was going to somehow get through the basically entire accessibility checklist and a broad conversation about like user experience, right? Like this was an unexpected conversation, Lauren. I gotta be honest. Like but there's a lot to this tool that she's doing. Like it seems like a very simple concept at first. And we, Will and I joked during the interview with Lauren about some of our fellow curmudgeon, or not fellow, our curmudgeon professors that we might think of. Or
I'm a
teachers.
curmudgeon.
Yeah, I'm a little curmudgeon sometimes, let's be honest. But I think this is really cool. I think there's a lot of uses for it. Like I said in the interview with Lauren, but I think immediately for me, I want to try some of the grading stuff that she has in there to maybe grab some students' attention a little bit more. And I think one of the cool things about this that I can think of from like a user experience piece, and like I know I say that, and like the regular teacher out there is thinking I'm not a user experience person, but you are to a certain extent. No matter what you're doing, you're creating an experience for a person who is using the learning. Maybe that's not quite the way to put it. I don't know. Nailed it. So you're doing this, and so what's interesting about these types of tools is, like I was saying in the interview with Lauren, like I could write a bunch of feedback, and it's not going to be immediately obvious what's in that paragraph of feedback or that comment. With one of these like stickers that's maybe like, she had some ones that were like, simple stuff like great job, but like stuff that was like, cite your sources, or where did you get this context, or I disagree. There was a sticker that said I disagree with like an X. Like I love it. Those don't all be negative. They can help identify for students, if you use them consistently, like common things that they're going to look out for when they're looking for your feedback on activities or things that they're doing. So that's just like one way. Feedback is not the entire thing the tool does, but that's one way I think I can see myself using it.
Well, and I've known a ton of faculty who've had like a Word doc with some of their most used phrases, must cite, or check MLA or whatever.
Yeah.
And that Word doc is open at all times while they're grading. They're just copying and pasting. And that idea is what Stickity offers at some of the feedback levels for their features. What I'd love to see is like maybe user generated, right? If there's a world where Lauren could come up with kind of some basic templates that would let people put the right text over the right sized or colored shapes, so that she could control the accessibility of those, but then let people put in some of their own statements. Now, she's talking about the translation. I don't know. That's just a pitch. Lauren, that's free. Who knows if you want to use that. If you can't, great. But I could see some faculty like, I don't want to ever say I disagree, but I might want to say, I want to challenge that thought or something like that. Everybody's going to feel differently about the wording itself. So it's a good thing that there's tons in there already that they can choose from. But that's something I could see myself like, oh, I just want to make my own little set of feedback stickers and just plop them on.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, and to Will's point, not everybody's like me, who likes to say I disagree on a regular basis. Sometimes you like to word that a little bit differently, maybe. I do. The other thing I think I commented on, and Lauren talked about this as one of the more common kind of initial uses. She has a bunch of stuff, and again, we will put this up on the website, hitechpod.us on the page. We'll drop that up there. But the stickers that she has for common stuff on slides, like whether or not you're grouping up together, should be talking, or is it quiet, or whatever it should be, like those kind of attention things, those kind of instructional pieces. That's really cool too. I think like two things happened during the session for me. One, I want to use some of that stuff, and two, I'm like, I could be using my own visuals too. Like I don't hide this. I build all of my slides for everything, teaching and all, in Canva. And I love Canva. And there's a lot of ways I could leverage stuff like that to kind of create a common language in my class for students as they're looking at kind of what they're supposed to be doing and when. A lot of times, like a perfect example of this real quick, right, is I last semester would have my students break out into basically think, pair, share groups or something of that kind of mesh a lot in class. I was re-explaining the group thing like all the time, and I would always have like a student, even though I have instructions up on the slides and like tell them what to do, there's always that student who comes up and is like, what are we supposed to do again? And I'm like, we're in the 15th week, bro. Like
there's 2 weeks left.
There's 2 weeks left. We've done this 13 times. You don't know what, but here's the deal. We've like kind of tweaked the instructions a little bit here and there around the semester, right? So like you could leverage this to go, what are my most common group activities, right? Like I'm thinking this is something I could do. My most common group activities, I'm going to come up with like either sticker from Stickity or my own icon on a slide. And that's going to be up in the corner every time when I do that activity. And students, when they're trying to think, how are we supposed to be doing this again, can look up at that icon and go, oh, we're doing this activity. And they can immediately get all of the instructions again from that one item, as opposed to rewriting the 12 bullets again, or me having to write on the board for the 400th time that, yes, you are supposed to think about it before you go talk to somebody and think pair share. You know, that's...
do the think step, please, and then do the pair step,
and
please.
then do the pair step. Like, there's a good example. I could have an icon, think, icon, pair, icon, share, and the slides just literally show that each time. You know, like, this was the kind of like a light bulb moment, if you will, for me, I think, as we were thinking through this with her. So yeah.
Well, and you're thinking about like protocols. Classroom management is like a critical part of, I think, early education classes, right? Like, if you were an educator, if you've been educated in education, classroom management and classroom protocols are probably a big thing you've gone over. And you get those reinforcement of like, when you start class, do these things. When you introduce an activity, do it this way. When you close an activity, do it like those rhythms or routines, those protocols in class are critical for everybody. It helps you stay on a task. It helps the learners know how we're transitioning and moving through things. I think there's some kind of loss for that at some level. In some circles where folks have forgotten the value of those routines. I love a routine. It helps me get through my day. It helps me do my work better. It helps me, move out of being sleepy to being energized and ready for the day, right? Like, that's important. And so just bringing that into classes and having the visual indicator, like a green light, yellow light, red light, you could make a green, red, yellow sticker. And that could be a big thing for, like, green means we're open floor. We're doing it our way. We might ask questions. We might stand up. Yellow means we need to stay in our seats, but we've got to, we can still talk to our partners. Red means I've got to be the one talking to help us get to the next thing so that the students are staying in their place. Like, that simple protocol could be on every single slide you make, whether it's a red, green, or yellow slide, but you've got those stickers that communicate to the students. Voila. I think I'm sold. I think the case is made for it. Hopefully, folks, you give it a shot. Make sure you head over to stickity.co if you want to give it a chance, give it a try. You don't need to go to their website to get started, but it's going to give you the information you need to check it out and get into it. It's add-on in Google Docs, so almost everyone can use it. Most K-12 schools are using Google, but almost anybody has a Gmail. If you wanted to really try this out, you could just make a Gmail account, make a Google Doc, and give it a shot. You don't have to have something special to get access. So thank you again, Lauren. That was an awesome conversation. Awesome opportunity for folks.
For sure. Absolutely. Next on the Hitech Podcast, Will and I buy 1,000 stickers and we show each other.
Yep,
that's what we do. No, next on episode 142. That's right. We are at 142 episodes. It's crazy to be thinking about that. We are going to be talking to somebody from Edmentium. Amanda is going to be joining us from Edmentium, and it's going to be super cool. It's going to be a great conversation. We're going to have some fun talking about what Edmentium does, what their background is, kind of just what they're doing as a app and company. And so we're looking forward to that conversation on episode 142 of the Hitech Podcast. Okay, again, a reminder, you can find us. I'm excited for this. We're using the new tool so I get new fun things that happen while we're doing this. If you're listening on audio and you have no idea what's happening,
go to YouTube and watch.
Check out YouTube. Or watch us on Spotify. There's also a video on Spotify.
Right,
we forget that sometimes. Anyway, speaking of that, Twitter and YouTube, you can find us at Hitech Podcast. Make sure to subscribe. So the fancy professionals, they say ring that bell, I think, right? Isn't that a thing? Is that a thing on YouTube?
Subscribe, ring the bell, because subscribing just means we're going to stay in your circuit. But if you ring the bell, you'll get a notification that we've posted a new episode.
Yeah,
that's the whole. And then a thumbs up.
Kind of know what we're doing, but we really don't. Yeah, look at you. You know what you're doing. Anyway, go find us on YouTube and Twitter. And like us, follow us, subscribe, connect with us. We love talking to you. You can also, if you'd like to talk with us, but you don't have any of those platforms and you still want to talk to Will and I, there's smoke signals is an option. But also maybe what might be easier is email. You can email us inbox at hitechpod.us. This is a great way to connect with us. People guess all the time. They email us there. That's a lot of times how we get connections with the podcast. So if you're interested on being on the podcast, you can email us at inbox@hitechpod.us. And also, final reminder that we do have a website. I know, that's crazy. The internet is real.
That's crazy.
I know, that was a better way to say it. Website, hitechpod.us. You can go there, find all the episode pages that we post. We post information, resources. For this episode, you most likely will find some fun stickers. Not most likely. I'm going to do that. I'm committing to that right now, and I hopefully don't forget when I make the episode page. So you can check it out at hitechpod.us there as well. Okay, that is the end of episode 141. Thank you again for joining us for another week as we continue to learn what it looks like to harness the deep, robust power of stickers in the classroom, whether online or in person. See ya.
See ya.